Yeah, and of course, the number one player in the world, Jannik Sinner, he was out practicing today. As I said, he hit with Novak yesterday, and today he was on court 18, of course, the famous court that John Isner made famous with a match that went for felt like 5 years. And he was out there today hitting with Stan Wawrinka, and they were going at it. And of course, they're in the same section again, semifinals. It will be Alcaraz and Sinner in the semis. Of course, if they make it there, we know that a lot of things could happen in the meantime. But what a bummer, again, that they're in the same half. Hopefully, through the years, it's going to change, as we know, once Novak retires. But just, him coming in here, he's got to feel really good, winning Halle, knowing he's playing great on grass. Very similar to what Alcaraz did last year by winning Queens. And, let's take a look at this draw. I've got to put these on now, Sam, because I can't see this without
I know.
But what are your thoughts on both of these guys? And
look, they're still young. Like Sinner, obviously Alcaraz has won Wimbledon. Sinner doesn't have quite the experience on the grass, but he just won Halle, like you said. He's coming into this Wimbledon feeling good. He beat good grass court players along the way. He beat Hubie Hurkacz in the final, who's a Wimbledon. He beat him in the final of Halle, and Hurkacz is a Wimbledon semifinalist in the past. So Sinner's coming in with confidence, and look, he's kind of him and Alcaraz are the two men to beat right now. And so I like where Sinner's I like how Sinner's playing right now a little more than Alcaraz. I know that Alcaraz lost in Queens early. It's a small sample size, but look, when you win a tournament going into a slam the week before, like your confidence is high and you're feeling good, and that's where Sinner is right now.
I have to say, when we look at this draw in total, I think they both have pretty good draws. Like, there's nobody in those sections of the draw where you're like, oh, that could be dangerous on grass, right? So if you look at Sinner's draw, clearly we know Matteo Berrettini has the potential to beat anyone on grass. He made the finals here a bunch of years ago, but he hasn't had the success over the last couple of years due to injury. Griekspoor, he can definitely push you on a grass court. Denis Shapovalov is in that section playing Jarry. We know that Denis can play really well on grass, but again, the confidence isn't really there. Somebody that I like to see is Harris through qualifying, and he's dangerous on grass, and he clearly against an American who plays very well on grass himself in Mickelson. But Ben Shelton, is he the section of that bit that can he get through and really push Sinner? We had a lot of expectation for him last year at Wimbledon. He didn't have the success. But again, he's playing a Bellucci who got through qualies. And as you know, Sam, guys that come through qualies are playing really, really good tennis on grass. So no given that Ben will get through. But I think for Sinner, that looks really good. One player, Dimitrov, we know he can play well on grass. He's been playing great this year. It's probably one of his best years. And I think he's the guy that will probably get through that section if Sinner gets through. And I see them playing against each other in I would say the quarterfinals, right? Yeah. So that's my two guesses there.
Yeah, I like Sinner's path a little more than Alcaraz's. I feel like Carlos has a few more like maybe dangerous names in there. He's got Tommy Paul on his section there, who's just fresh off a Queen's title. Hugo Humbert. Humbert sometimes is a tricky lefty. Yeah, who's beaten. Humbert won Halle himself a few years ago, who can be tricky. I know Francis Tiafoe's not playing great, but Francis is a guy that can kind of feed off a crowd and get hot, and he's a showman, and he's going to get up for a match like that. So Carlos has, he's got some guys in there that are going to be tough. But I definitely, if I had to pick one that I really think is going to go further, it's Sinner right now.
Yeah, I agree. If I were to just pick over the draw, certainly Alcaraz's draw. I think one player in that section that's sort of, I know he's an Aussie, so maybe I'm being a little bit biased, but I think Jordan Thompson, he's had a little bit of a tough year with injuries, but he played very well last week. He can play really well on grass. And as we know, Aussies sort of know how to make their way around a grass court. So I think that Jordan Thompson might be a bit of a sneaky one getting through there to play Alcaraz. I think that's my guess. And Arnaldi is tough, and he will play Tiafoe really, really well. But I think Tommy Paul, believe it or not, I think he can. Listen, he's beaten Alcaraz before. We know how well he can play on grass, winning as you did, winning Queens. He comes in with tons of confidence, and that could be a real threat for Alcaraz if he is not to get through to play against Sinner. But look, some great storylines there overall. Indeed, can't wait. Oh my my God, I get so excited when the draw comes out. One guy we need to talk about, Sir Andy Murray. He's in the tournament. He's decided to play. We're excited about this. He's going to play doubles with his brother Jamie, and he's in the singles and the doubles. Just your thoughts in total about, hoping that Andy takes the court. Who's more likely to not take the court, Novak or Andy?
I was just gonna say it's almost like it's a Novak Djokovic part 2 here with Andy. He hurt himself at Queens. I guess if I had to guess, I think Andy's maybe more likely to take the court just because I truly feel like this is going to be Andy's last Wimbledon. He, obviously being from the UK, it's a huge deal, and I think he's going to want to take that court one more time. It's really cool to see him play doubles with his brother, which I think that could be just like Venus and Serena were playing on center court at the U.S. Open. Serena's last year. I could see, Murray as a doubles team. I could see them throwing that on center court, but I just hope Andy's was it his ankle that was bugging him in Queens?
Yeah, there's so many. It's a back. It's all back. Things. I like that Judy Murray I love that Judy Murray went to town on, releasing his medical forms and yada yada. Got to love Judy. She's going to support her sons, to the end. But he had, he had like a little
on his spinal cord.
In his spinal cord.
I hope he can get whatever injections.
That's
whatever
pretty bad that they released that.
Yeah, I agreed. I hope he can get whatever he needs to take the court one more time because he actually has somewhat of a decent draw at Wimbledon this year. But I hope he can go out there and fight, and I expect him to take the court.
Yeah, Marshak is a good player. He played very well at the French, and he pushed. But I think he's more a clay court player, so I think it's possible. But he's definitely a very good player. So certainly not easy. Look, the guys' draw is stacked, as we said. I mean, I wrote down some classics. I think one player to watch also is Jack Draper. There's always a Brit. There's always a Brit that gets through somewhere. They get so much support here at Wimbledon, which is, I got to tell you, as you know, it's so fun when the Brits are still going and, the crowds are behind them and all the things. I mean, Zverev, what's he going to do? I've got to put these back on because I can't see it without it. But, when we look at this draw, Herbie Hurkacz is certainly a player that is to be absolutely watched. There's no question that he is a player that can get through. He's made the semis before. He was clearly the last. We know what he did to Roger in his last match, as we saw on the documentary. He's the one that took out Roger 6-love in the fourth set. But look, I mean, I think that Hurkacz is probably the player to get through in that section. One player down there, Alex de Minaur. Look out for Alex.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was going to give your Aussie credit.
Yep. I mean, I keep picking the Aussies, but look, Alex de Minaur can play on every surface. We know he can play well on grass. He's one of the best movers in the game. And let's not forget, of course, how well can Chris Eubanks do this year? We know what he did last year, right? Comes in playing a little bit better on the grass. And Sam, you know what it's like when you don't have a lot of confidence, but you get onto the grass, you win a few matches, which he did in Halle, and he had a great win there. Can he get through this section of the draw? Rune, we're a little bit unknown. How's he going to do on grass? He's been a bit up and down this year, and I think that Chris Eubanks can get through that. Khachanov is a very good player. I get it, and can play on every surface. But can Chris break through again in this tournament?
He absolutely can. We saw it last year. And like you said, for me personally, I pretty much spent my entire career playing like garbage on the clay courts, got to the grass court season, won a match or two, and boom, your confidence is back. And Eubanks kind of has that right now. He quarterfinaled in Halle. He beat Bublik along the way, who's a great grass court player. So if he comes into Wimbledon here and he plays Halles, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name right. The qualifier, that's tough, but I like Eubanks there. And you get a win under your belt, then you're feeling confident. And if he gets the serve going, and he's one of those guys that kind of can still serve and volley. He's got great volleys. He hits the ball low, hard, and flat. If things are working in his favor, he can beat Khachanov. And then you would love to play Holger Rune in the third round of Wimbledon. That's a matchup that he can win. So if things align for Eubanks, I think he can do well. But going back to de Minaur, he's a guy that I like a lot as well. And the matchup, if it's him and Hurkacz, that's a coin flip to me. De Minaur's crafty on the grass. He won Hertogenbosch, 2 weeks ago. And he just knows what he's doing out there. He's a great mover. So For me in this section, it's like it's de Minaur, Hercox, and it's like a 50-50 on who gets through that.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd probably edge a little bit. It depends.
Maybe a
Herbie's
little
so
bit
up and down a
Hercox,
little
but
bit.
de Minaur's tough.
But he's a little emotional too, you know. He doesn't look it, but that is going to be a toss-up. Obviously, FAA Felix Auger-Aliassime, who's done very well here in the past, struggled last year, lost early on, plays Kokkinakis first round. Not an easy first round at all. But for just, flipping over there, Djokovic, it's a pretty good section of the draw for Novak. So he'd be looking at that going, if I can get through, if I can manage the weight and, the knee, he could not have got a better draw than what he has. There's no question. I mean, he's got 2 qualifiers and a wild card to get to the 3rd round. So that in and of itself, I would put my house on, even with a bad knee. Let's flip over, though. Rublev, it's been a wild year for him just emotionally and all the stuff. I think that's a really good section, though. I think he can get through. Can he make a quarter? Can he break through a quarterfinal?
Right. What is he's like 0-8 in quarterfinals or something, right? Isn't he in slams?
Yeah. But he's in not a bad. If he's going to do it, it might be this one. Certainly with Novak, if normally you'd say no because he's not breaking through against a lot of these players. But Zverev is a bit of an unknown at Wimbledon. He has never really done well here. He's in a pretty good section, but Jack Draper in that section is the player that I'm suggesting will get through there. And I've already talked about it. And up the top, Taylor Fritz. You think, okay, it's a pretty good draw, right? Not so. Another Aussie, O'Connell, plays very well on grass. He comes into the net. And for Taylor, this is not an easy first round because, as you know, you don't want to play people that are good on grass in the first round. And Taylor plays very well on grass, but this is not an easy first round for him.
It's not, but, he's still playing in Eastbourne. I believe he's got his semifinal later today. I like Taylor to get through that, even though you're saying O'Connell's tough. But that whole section, it's like, you've got Fritz, Draper, Zverev, like all 3 of those guys. I don't know who's coming out of that section. They're all playing well. They all have big games. They all play pretty well on grass. No one's like phenomenal on it, but I don't know who I've got coming through that section. But on the other side, like you're saying, I do like Rublev to get through that little part of the draw.
I'm just going to add a little Sebi Korda. This is not an easy first round.
Yeah.
But, David Fokina is usually a little bit better on clay, but not easy first round. And Kei Nishikori, nice to see him in the draw. But I think that Sebi Korda gets through there. I think he can beat Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas is a little bit unknown. You never know. He plays well on grass, but much more comfortable on a hard court or certainly on clay. So I don't know. Sebi Korda could sneak through there as well. So we've got a couple of Americans in that half, but we can't wait. It's starting real soon, and we're going to figure it all out as it goes